Welcome to Seint Beauty, and thank you for choosing me, Raimi Parker, as your Seint artist. So now that you have your compact all set up, you're ready for your very first application. And in this video, I'm going to take you step by step, very slowly, through the detailed process of that first application. So I recommend you pause it after each step and write down any questions that you may have about that step. I would also love for you to go to the window where you took your color match selfie, take another selfie without the makeup on, and go there once you're finished and take an after photo. I'd love to see you after your first makeup application. So enough of this, let's get started. The first thing I want you to do is to pause this video and let's go wet our sponge. You want to use this damp. If you use it dry, it's going to take off your makeup. And if you use it too wet, it's going to take off your makeup. So the best thing to do is before you start, you want to prepare your perfector sponge or your beauty blender. So go and get it wet and wring it out all you can, and then squeeze it in a towel or a paper towel, whatever you have handy and clean, and just set it on the side, because as you put on your makeup, it's going to dry just a little bit because you just want it slightly dampened. It's going to be perfect, slightly dampened. So let's go get this prepared. Okay, so now that mine is wet, you hear that? I'm going to just squeeze it now in a paper towel, and I'm going to set it aside. I have a little holder specifically for it that I'll just set it there, and it's going to be perfect in just a few minutes. And if you did not get one, I highly recommend this. I find that this is the #1 under-purchased, one of the most important tools. So this is Seint's Perfector Sponge, and it feels so squishy. It's like a marshmallow. So I'm going to set it aside as we get started. So with Seint, just like you probably do with most makeup, you want to prepare or prep your skin for your application. And I like to use Seint's Plush Prep Mist. It's like a primer, a spray primer. If you don't have this, I have found that a setting spray works beautifully. This is Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Setting Spray. You could use, there's a great Maybelline, there's a great NYX setting spray. That Urban Decay All Nighter is great. They're great setting sprays. Not only do they set, but they also prime your skin. And if you were to use like a liquid primer, you want to make sure it does not contain silicones. You don't want it with silicones because the cream makeup will just slide off your face with anything with the silicone in it. So it might be, I forgot what it would say, but there's the word silicone in the ingredients when it contains, it might be silica or something like that. You'll be able to tell. So you want to make sure it does not have any silicone in it. So I'm just going to give this a shake, and I'm going to mist my skin. Now, while it's drying, I am going to prepare my eyes for eyeshadow, because before I apply my makeup, I like to do my eyes first to prevent any fallout in my newly applied cream makeup. So I'm going to show you how I prep my eyes for eyeshadow, but I will not do the eyeshadow on this because today we just want to focus on the highlight and contour application. I have another video that you can watch if you need an eyeshadow tutorial. So I like to take one of my highlights, either my brightening highlight or my main highlight. I usually use my brightening highlight, and I just like to use it as a nice foundation, a nice palette. It just evens out that skin tone because my eyelids are so discolored. Just gives me a nice even tone as a canvas for my eyeshadow. So let's get started with this application. I am going to go extremely slow with you, so you're going to be able to do this right along with me. You can pause where you need and just pick right back up. You probably have the detail brush and the blush and bronzer brush. These are two brushes that I find are the easiest to start with, that give you a great medium coverage. And yeah, they're my favorite. So let's get started here. I am going to start with the contour. As you set up your compact, you know I always like to start with the contour, because starting with the contour allows you to see that this is definitely a one-layer application. There's enough coverage in each aspect of this makeup that there's no need for you to layer layers of makeup upon layers of makeup. So one application, let's get started right now. So using the bigger end of the detail brush, I'm going to take one side of this flat end and I'm going to tap it or just swipe it back and forth. I normally tap contour onto one edge. And then I'm going to find the top of my ear here, and I'm going to come down my cheekbone to right about that corner of my eye. And I'm just going to do it in a tapping motion. Just like that. And it doesn't take a lot. So I'm going to tap a little more. So I'm going to do this on this other side as well. So what I'm doing when I contour is that I am creating some depth to my face. I'm also creating the illusion of things being withdrawn. I can give the illusion of cheekbones. You know, our faces start to sag as we age, but contour can kind of help disguise that. It can create cheekbone, like a lifted cheekbone. Watch when I come, pay attention here, and I go under my jawline. I can kind of put just a little bit on that jowl area. I want to drag it down my neck. So I'm going to drag it down my neck so it blends and you just don't see a dark line under there. But just by adding a little bit of contour, I mean, not so much that you don't even see it, where the jowl is really saggy, and it just kind of slenderizes the face a little bit. It can also do that with the forehead. So when you contour, think about the number 3. You're going to do your forehead, your cheekbone, and your jawline, the number 3 here. So it can give the illusion, because as we age, some of us we start to recede a little bit in the hairline. So if you just come across your forehead at your hairline like a rainbow and blend downwards, and make sure you blend into the hairline, blend it into the hairline. This is creating the illusion of a smaller forehead. Okay. And that is enough with the contour right now. We're going to come back at the end and we're going to contour the nose. But for right now, we're going to stop right here. I have my 3 on both sides. And now it's time for our highlight. So if you have the blush and bronzer brush, we're going to use the smaller, denser end of this brush. This is great for powder and for bronzing, but I like to do my highlight with this end. So we're going to start with the main highlight, which should be the second one in your compact, and we're just going to lightly tap. It doesn't take much, the brush. It doesn't take much on the brush. That's what I was trying to say. So I'm just going to tap it all around the contour. I'm not going to go on top of the contour because remember, it's sort of like paint by numbers. You're only putting the foundations where they need to go. And yes, I'm calling them all foundations because you're adding it as one layer on your skin. There's enough coverage that you don't need to build layers upon layers. So I'm tapping it, and when we tap, we make sure we fill our pores and our little wrinkle creases that we get as we age. You know, with liquid makeup, you're adding it to your face and you're definitely dragging it along your face. So you're going over those pores and fine lines with a drag. It may get in that pore, it may not get in that pore, and then it leaves your face looking cakey and sparsy. You don't have that smooth, flawless, seamless finish like you do with cream. That's why cream is so good for mature skin, and I'm so excited that you've decided to try it. I'm going to cover my nose. Remember, I'm going all around where I contoured, not going over the contour. And then I'm not really going to get under my eyes because I can do that with my brightening highlight. So I'm going to go right above my eyebrows as well on my forehead. So I'm starting to look a little funny here, aren't I? But trust the process. It's all going to blend nicely and smoothly and flawlessly once I get it all applied. So, and it's cream. And the beauty about cream is that you can't mess it up. It's not drying hard on your face to the point where you can't manipulate it anymore. You can't add to it. Like I might have rubbed a little bit contour off right there, but look, I can just add it right back. It stays bendable and blendable. Or as I look in the camera, I notice I might have too much right here. No worries. I can just take my brush, kind of do like, you know, that. It's, how do I want to say it? It still can be manipulated. So now I'm going to apply the third step in my highlight and contour, and that is the lip and cheek. It's called lip and cheek because we can apply it to our cheeks as well as our lips. So this is how I recommend, with just having these two brushes, to apply your blush. I'm going to take it on my finger, and I'm going to use my middle finger because I can put a light application on with my middle finger. We use this finger too much, and I would put on a heavy. So using my pointer finger, I would give a much heavier application. I would, like when we tug at our face or something with our finger, you never want to use your pointer finger because you use that finger more and it would give you a much heavier touch. You would tug not as light with that one. So use your ring finger or your middle fingers when you work with fingers on your face. You don't want to stretch the skin because remember, we're getting older. We have lost a lot of elasticity in our skin. So with a little bit of blush on my finger, I'm going to start at the back and work toward the front. And I'm going right above where I added the contour. And I'm just going to put 3 little dots there. I'm going to come to the other side. And I did the exact same thing on the other side. Now I'm going to take that same brush that I just used. Now look, I really don't have any more makeup on it because you're just picking up a little bit of your main highlight with this. So when you go to tap in your blush, there's nothing really left on the brush. So it doesn't mix highlight with lip and cheek. So I'm just tapping that in like so. Now for the last step in the highlight and contour is the brightening highlight. So I'm going to use the smaller end of my detail brush here, and I'm just going to tap that smaller end into my brightening highlight, and I am going to brighten up the center of my face. So the center triangle of my face, I want to brighten because that's where all of our features are. So we want to bring those forward, bring those out. Remember I told you when we contoured, we kind of withdrew, kind of gave the illusion of being like something being withdrawn. It was dark. We want to retract. Now we want to bring forward. So we're going to brighten up our eyes. Let me scoot a little bit closer because it's kind of tricky putting on makeup in your phone camera. So I'm going to start with my eyes, and I'm going to brighten the outer corner as well as the inner. And this is also where we can give the illusion of a little lift to our eye. So with a little bit of highlight on the smaller end of my detail brush, I'm going to gently tap the highlight toward the tail end of my eyebrow. And look how it just lifts the eye a little. It just gives a little illusion of a lift. And then I'm just going to gently blend in that highlight. And then I'm going to put some in the center, the inner corner. And I'm just going to gently blend it toward that outer, very, very gently, because I don't want it too heavy under my eye, because it is the lighter of the two highlights. And a lot of times the lighter colored foundations really accentuate those little fine wrinkles under our eyes. So if you are someone who may have, your wrinkles are a little deeper under your eye, you may just want to like conceal your under eye with your main highlight. Just like so. That was my main highlight. And then just put a little bit on your corners of that brightening highlight. And you just want to gently blend that lighter into the darker. See how this side is a little bit brighter. Around the eye. So that's two different ways that you can do this. So while I am on my brightening highlight, I'm going to show you how we contour down the nose, and also right in my Cupid's bow, I'm going to put a little brightening highlight. I'm going to do that first. I'll save the contour for the nose later, because you could blend now and be done. You don't have to contour your nose. And if you don't want to contour your nose, you would be finished right now, and you would take this perfector sponge and you would just gently tap it around your face with the pointy end, like for the corners and under your eyes. That smaller end around the nose. You would sort of do the side for the bigger areas of your face. You want to make sure you just go all around your face, because remember I said it's also taking off any excess makeup you may have. Now you see how there's a softer, smoother, more flawless looking application? Everything looks nice and blended seamlessly. It's not so harsh. But in case you want to contour that nose, let's keep going. So contour on the nose can give the illusion of a much thinner nose, because unfortunately as we age, sometimes our nose gets a little wider. So we can give the illusion of a smaller nose with 2 contour lines down our nose. And when we put this down our nose, we're going to put it like on the top side of our nose. We're not going to go on the side of our nose. We're going to go on the top side of our nose. So let's get started. So I'm going to take my brightening highlight, because my nose is part of the center of my face. And I'm going to take my pinky, because it's a tiny finger, and I'm just going to tap down the very center of my nose. You can come all the way to the tip of your nose, but I like to stop right about there, because I have like a ball shape end of my nose, and if I put too much highlight there, it really draws attention to it and it makes it look bigger. So I'm going to stop right above there. But if you have a nice straight nose, go all the way to the tip. Then I'm going to take the flat end of my brush, and remember I'm going on the top side of my nose. And the closer I can get my 2 contour lines, the skinnier I can make my nose look. So top side, and then I'm just going to kind of drag it down that side very gently, because I want it to blend. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other side of my nose. Get a little. And a lot of times when you back up, well, at least for me, if I back up, I can see it better. I think because the lights are reflecting so much on my nose, because my nose is like the closest thing to these lights. You can also take your 2 fingers and do just like this down your nose. Take your 2 fingers, take your 2 ring fingers, tap a little contour on it, rub them together, and then you can go straight down your nose like so. And remember, ring fingers, because you're giving a much lighter touch to your skin, because you do want to kind of drag it on down the sides of your nose, just like that. Then take your perfector and blend. Just like that. Now you're done. Now, once you get the hang of this, this application is going to go a lot faster. So let's set our makeup. I live in southern Mississippi, right on the beach practically. I am 1 block from the beach, which, think about the United States. If I'm on the beach in South Mississippi, I'm basically sitting on top of the Gulf of Mexico. So it gets very hot and humid here in Mississippi. So I like to make sure I set my makeup for what I think is year-round humidity. So I am going to use, Seint has a Fix It setting spray. Excuse me. If you don't have this, you can use any other setting spray. You can use the same setting spray that you use to prep or prime your skin with in the very beginning. So I'm going to shake it up. And down here in the South, I almost like to double faster. So now that I'm at the end of my makeup, I want to set my makeup because I live down here, 1 block from the beach in Mississippi, which is like sitting on top of the Gulf of Mexico. So there's humidity basically year round. So I double set my makeup most days. But Seint has this Fixate setting spray that I am going to set my makeup with. This has lots of goodie ingredients. Lots of goodies in it with the good ingredients. Kind of had a blooper there. So I am going to spray this, or you could use other setting sprays. Those ones I mentioned in the beginning of the video. If you had Charlotte Tilbury, if you had Maybelline, if you had NYX, Urban Decay All Nighter, all those are really good setting sprays that you could use. But I am going to use Seint's Fixate spray. I'm going to give it a good shake and a good squirt on my face. Now, you could go about your day. This is going to dry, so it's not going to look as dewy, but just leaving the setting spray by itself does give you a much dewier look than setting it with the powder. But I kind of like setting it with the powder, especially gently under my eyes and in my T-zone. So I'm going to let this dry as I do my lips. And let's talk about the lips. Remember I said that your lip and cheek doubled as your lipstick as well. So I'm going to take, this is just a little brush that I got from Amazon because I can throw this one in my purse pretty quickly because the point that I use to outline my lips retracts into the brush, and then there's a paddle end. So on the days where I use my lip and cheek as my lipstick, I have this in my purse. But Seint also has a great multitasker brush with a paddle end and a little pointy tip that you can do your lips with this. It's called a multitask brush because it can do lots of things. So if you don't have a brush like this, you may want to put it on your wish list to get. But let's get back to lining those lips. So I'm going to line my lips with my contour. So I'm going to take that pointy end, just going to get a little bit of contour on it. I'm going to start with my bottom lip. And notice I'm not going all the way to my corners. I'm just going to put a little bit right there. And then the tops, I'm not going to start at my corner. I'm going to start about midway from my Cupid's bow to the outer corner. And I'm just going to soften that with my finger, like so. Now I'm going to take that paddle end, I'm going to swipe it on my lip and cheek, and you can also use your finger. Just add a little color. Finger is going to give you a much lighter coverage than the brush. And what I like to do with my lips is I like to give my color, because my lips are so full, I like to kind of break up this bright, bold color with a little bit of an ombre look on them. So I'm just going to tap into my brightening highlight, and I'm going to add a little of it to the center of my lip. See how that's given a much softer look to my lips now? Just going to tap it in, making sure it's blended real well. Now that my setting spray has dried, you can see that nice dewy finish it's left on my skin. But as I told you, I like to set with setting powder. But because I have mature skin, which is really a nice way of saying I have like little fine lines and wrinkles like under my eyes, I want to be very particular about the setting powder that I use. I want to make sure that it's one that is milled extremely fine, so there's no creasing and clumping of the powders in the wrinkles right here under my eyes. So I like to use Laura Mercier's loose translucent powder, or It by Pores translucent powder. Those two I know are really good for mature skin. Now there are others on the market. You'll just have to research it and find which one those are. So I'm going to get a little out of those little holes using this fluffy end of my blush and bronzer brush. I'm going to tap off any excess in the cap, and I'm going to gently just tap or lightly feather. You don't want to do this too heavy, because you could start taking off makeup under the eyes, and like I said, in my T-zone, and sort of back by my hairline where my hair sort of falls on my face. And that's it. That's the highlight and contour. And like I said, once you start doing this, the faster you're going to do it. You're not going to have me, and you're not going to be pausing. You're not going to have me talking, about other things, about this application. You're just going to be able to do it literally in the dark with your eyes basically closed. Kid you not. I had one client tell me she put this makeup on in the car in the dark at night. So it just becomes like one of the fastest makeup routines you will have ever done. So, and I will say this, give yourself at least 2 weeks. Put this makeup on every day for the first 2 weeks, and watch how over the 2 weeks, it's just going to start acclimating to your skin. Your face has never worn a face full of cream makeup before. So the longer you wear this makeup, the better it wears on your skin. Now, check your color, because I'm color matching you basically from a photo that you took in front of a window. And depending on the time of day and where the sun was outside of your window, it could have made your skin tone look not as true. So if your color seems to be off, if it's too light, you're going to see texture on your face. It's going to accentuate your pores and fine lines. You don't want that. If anything, you want it a little bit darker than your face, especially, you know, as we get older. We definitely don't want any sort of lighter makeup on our maturing skin. So if you need a shade swap, you have 30 days to get that swapped out for a different shade. So, and that's with your highlights. Contours, you know, you can wear different color contours and not really look, you know, it's not accentuating anything. That's what I'm trying to say. And a lot of times, a lot of us can wear many different highlights. This makeup is extremely versatile. So really, I want you to pay attention to the highlight. I mean, because look how dark that contour is. But on my skin, it's not that dark, and it's blended pretty well. So, yeah, I'm not so concerned about the contour shade being too light or too dark. Definitely, if you don't see it at all, it's probably too light, but I'm pretty good at kind of recommending a darker tone that I know is going to show up on your skin. So it's the highlight. That's the one we want to make sure it's a good match, because there's only 30 days to swap that out. So I'm here if you have any questions. Again, my biggest recommendation is put this on your face every day for the first 2 weeks. First, you know, it's kind of awkward if you've never applied makeup with a brush before. Your face has never worn a full face of cream makeup before. There is a little adjustment period to the application as well as to the cream makeup getting settled on your face. But the longer you wear it, the better it looks. I am in my ring light. There's no filter on this video, on this camera. You know, I've been wearing it for 5.5 years, and it goes on like butter. It just keeps getting better and better and better. So 2 weeks, that's what I ask you to give it. 2 weeks. You'll have the routine down, and it will have acclimated to your skin beautifully. So reach out to me at any time. I'm here for all your Seint needs. And thank you again for choosing me to be your Seint artist. I'm honored.